This podcast features a lot of adult language.
Hey guys, you're listening to Campaign Sea of Mist recap of episode 2. I'm Michael Goodman and I fucking deleted the original. Sorry.
That's fair.
James, why don't you tell everyone the story of Sea of Mist?
Yeah, Sea of Mist, the lost episode.
The lost
As
episode.
Brett would call it.
Brett, do a movie, The Lost Episode.
The Lost Episode.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
good.
good. Wow, we should actually just have him do the intro.
Forget that other
Sea
one.
of Mist.
In a
episode
world.
Yeah. In a world called Faerun. One man took a group into the dungeons below
Tresendar Manor.
Tresendar Manor in the lost episode of Sea of Mists.
Okay, yeah, I like
That
it.
sounds good.
All right, so where we left off was that the party had explored the majority of the Red Brand's hideout. Since they came in through the secret cave entrance, they kind of went through it backwards a little bit and had skipped the common room and gone pretty much for the eastern side of it. So they went through the crypt and the cellar and all that. And that was one of the last things that you guys did, if I remember correctly, was exploring the cellar, getting that kind of medieval dry bag out of the cistern.
Yep.
And that's pretty much where we called it. So we picked up then, and the party made their way westward towards the common room. Actually, I'm going to amend that. You guys started in Iarno's quarters because you had
Over his corpse.
just murdered the hell out of him.
That's right, we did.
Yeah.
And so the group started off by finding a few separate things, some of which were dictated by the module, some weren't. There was the letter to the Black Spider that they had found, which details how this wizard named Glassstaff, who's running the Red Brands, is actually none other than Iarno Albrecht, who's the wizard that you were sent to find, who's supposedly a member of... and I had changed this because we originally, started the campaign in Greyhawk and decided, fuck it, we're just going to stick with Forgotten Realms. So I had changed the... they were originally supposed to be part of the Lord's Alliance, which is one of the big, factions of Faerun. But I had changed it to be just a big mercenary company called the Lords of Battle. So he was supposed to be one of those dudes, and he was, but he was kind of a turncoat and working for the Black Spider, and that letter revealed that. And I'm also going to mention this, not because it's a huge deal, but because otherwise my players will forget it, because they also found a tome regarding a magical mace called Lightbringer, which I know you guys had already forgotten about. So
Oh no, I
welcome.
totally remember that.
Yeah, come on.
And
there was a
Lightbringer.
yeah,
Is that hyphenated?
no, one word.
Oh, excellent.
Even better.
Just checking my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Mike remembers it. It was a story about a dwarf. No. Exactly. So
Okay.
that's why I brought that up. And on top of that, which is unique to our game, they also found a letter from Grista, who is the surly dwarf woman that runs the sleeping giant tap room, to Iarno. And one of you guys can read that. I think I made up this cool parchment thing in Photoshop and printed it out, so I had a nifty little prop to give them.
Yeah, there's a couple of stains throughout here, so I will try to read this, and I think I got it. So, and I don't know if I can do a female dwarf voice.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, in a world, my dearest Iarno,
Works for me.
Yeah, that works pretty well.
my dearest Iarno, how wonderful.
Just read it.
Yeah, just read it in your normal dwarven female voice.
My dearest Iarno, how wonderful these past months have been. I had always dreamt of being someone of import, yet even despite my efforts to learn the mystical arts, I seemed destined to languish here, amongst the dregs of this town. Yet this tap room brought you to me, and through you, I've gained love and knowledge of the arts I never thought possible. Oh, how it pains me to stay away from the manor, knowing you are so close to me. Yet I dare not risk revealing the Black Dragon's plans, even for our love. Soon this hamlet will be ours, and we won't have to skulk in the shadows any longer. I keep looking longingly at this ring. What matters to me is not its power, but what it means to us, my darling. With undying love, Grista.
Wow.
That was the
You made that
best.
sound so romantic.
Krista.
Grista.
So, yeah, basically that's a separate thing that I had added. Partially because the players just murked Iarno so badly that it wasn't even a fight. Like, I would have to go back and
Oh,
listen
Yarno
to
was
it.
the wizard's name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad
You
it's
just now learned this. That's awesome.
I just got to the game.
So, but I don't even know if he made it out of the surprise
No,
round.
he
I
did
don't
not.
think
No,
he didn't.
Yeah, so
Did not.
you know, there was supposed to be this cool mage fight, and so I wanted to reinsert that into the game, and also give it kind of like a personalized spin at you guys. So that's where that came from, and it hints at a few different things. And also, just for the listeners, it mentions the black dragon as opposed to the black spider. That's a separate NPC that I've thrown into the mix, who, from what the players have gathered thus far, is kind of like an overboss to the black spider. And so the party moved on from there. They moved pretty much directly to the common room, if I remember correctly. You
We stopped by one other room where we found the dead rat and the...
Oh, well, that was on the way. So the laboratory was
That's right.
the conjoining room between them, and there was a dead rat, which was the familiar of Iarno, which was dead because he was dead.
James, on the Red Brand hideout, what number room was the wizard's?
His quarters were 12, then they moved through 11, which was the laboratory,
Got it. Okay.
towards 10, which is the...
I see where we're at. Okay.
Common
The
room.
listeners need to take notes.
Yeah,
There will be a
if you-
test later.
I'll have the map up on the video if you're watching on YouTube, and
So when we're like room 10,
yeah, exactly. Room 10.
that's
So-
the YouTube video, folks. Check it out.
Now, if I remember correctly, you guys actually set up a pretty cool plan of attack for this room because you had so many different people that you were able to have. I believe Traynor and Lyra were both of the archers, so they were back inside the doorway of the laboratory, and then when the melee guys opened up the door just in case.
Brandon just charged forward. and
Oh, that's
smashed
right. He
over,
just
yeah.
smashed through the
Yeah,
door.
he
I couldn't
doesn't follow
remember.
tactics.
We had half a plan, and then he
So
smashed it.
yeah,
Yes.
but they were
Yes.
both posted up, taking like hard cover behind each side of the door. So it was actually pretty brutal. They had a decent amount of coverage, and they just burst through the door and surprised the shit out of these guys. There was no,
It was two guys gambling, right?
I can't remember how many.
It was like 2 or 3.
Yeah, it wasn't too many. I think there might have been 4.
Oh yeah, I think 2 of them got taken down like real quick,
quick,
and then
and
the other
then the other-
guys survived.
Yeah,
for,
there's
like,
4
by the
Red Brand
table,
ruffians.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think one of them, you know, and I had made some sort of checks to make sure that they, or give them a chance to react, just because surprise can be pretty brutal, but they all failed pretty miserably. So I remember one guy fell out of his chair,
Yeah.
and they killed him so fast. I think one guy got arrowed, ran in, you know, went in and killed another guy, and then I think someone else killed a third, so there was one guy left.
And I think that was Lyra's moment to shine, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yep.
so
That
one of them.
was.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but one guy failed his check in for morale and just fled. He was like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here." And there was I can't remember if it was an attack of opportunity or what, but someone used their action to aid the role of Lyra, right? Where she was attacking. So they grabbed the ponytail, or was that how?
No. That's something a little later after with the bugbear. That was
Yeah.
me and Mortander.
Oh, okay. that's
Lyra, so Tiffany, who plays Lyra, rolled so well. She did this roll under the table and like onto the other side as
Oh, that's right.
as she rolled under the table. One hand grabbed their gold off of the table and then stabbed the guy.
Yeah.
And then as he was dying, because she rolled so well on that too, she held the gold in his face and said,
Yeah, that's right.
I took your gold.
Yeah,
It
that
was pretty
that kind
epic.
of it was
That was
almost
epic.
like a
That was epic.
It was
Yeah.
like a character establishing moment too,
Yeah.
because it's like what she's all about is she knew that this gold was valuable to them, and on top of like taking everything from them, she's rubbing it in that she's
Yeah.
taking their gold.
Yeah, she thought that was the most important thing to him. She had taken his gold, yet her rapier was like sticking it in his heart.
Yeah.
And he's all, ha! And then we were like playing around with the idea of he's falling to the ground, his eyes dilating as he's dying, watching her feet walking away, and then her just dropping the gold because it's not important to her. She's all, whatever.
Yeah.
I took it, but I'm not going to keep
Yeah,
it.
she's dropping it everywhere, and Ovalt's following her around.
Just
with a
like
bag.
picking it up, put it in a basket.
And then Nada and Ovalt both cast illusions that there was some big diamond behind one of the
Oh,
casts
that's right, to distract
to
her.
distract Lyra as they like stole all the really good stuff.
Oh, that's right. There was gold all over the room.
Well, yeah, because they had flipped the table in the commotion, and they're just gold and just random coins went all over the place. So, yeah, you guys spent a couple turns with her
Both-
distracted, like gathering up all the gold.
But I gotta say, this was a great moment for Tiffany, because she's always been kind of a shy wallflower, and she'll be the first one to admit it. But this was one of those moments where she said this line, she wasn't even thinking about it. She's just like, I took your gold.
Oh,
And
no, it's
all of us
perfect.
started busting up laughing, and she was surprised. And I don't know, I think it helped her come out of her shell a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I was
no,
very
that
happy
was,
for
that
her.
was great.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it
I
was a
deleted
very-
it.
these awesome landmark moments.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
We're all glaring at Mike.
So there's a hallway.
Yeah. So this hallway leading
on.
south. Yeah, and so they made their way towards the room 9, which I believe is like the barracks where there's a few bugbears. I actually
This is the hallway too where Oval actually successfully got me to not just bust through the door.
Yeah, yeah.
Got ran in to not just bust through the
yeah,
door.
I don't know if you had to make a persuasion check or something.
I
for
forget.
I
but-
think he said I think he just actually he was like no wait, and he role played it, and I was like okay, hurry up, like
that. You
what
guys
are we
were
doing?
hearing voices and stuff too, so that, and I was also a little bummed because I actually did some cool like orky and goblin-y voices, but that's all good. But you heard them the bugbears abusing this poor goblin Droop, and I can't. Honestly, you guys can take it from here because I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly how this went.
This is Brett
But
with
it was
his
cool.
illusions and
It's
stuff.
all Brett.
So-
But you guys
Well-
did do a similar thing where you posted up at the end of the hallway with your archers.
Yeah. So
Oh.
we set up in that gambling room, turned over some
Actually,
of the tables.
everybody, right? It was
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
the
I-
turned over table,
Uh-huh.
the kegs in the corner, so there's barrels.
Yeah, so you guys had
back
like
behind
an
the door.
ambush set up. It was
Mortander
actually
and
really
Randon
cool.
were on each side of the door.
Yeah.
And this is the door of the common room. So
Yes.
This is room 10, the door that leads into the hallway
that's
towards
right.
9.
The
And then-
idea was you guys hide here. I'm going to bring them to us.
Yeah.
That was
And so,
So Brett, why don't you continue to
Yeah.
explain all the rest?
Ovalt cast disguise self on himself. And since he's small, he can only disguise himself as another small creature. So he disguised himself as a goblin. And I went running in there, acting like I was injured. And I was like,
okay, like your mouth was injured or something.
Yeah, because I don't speak Goblin. I can only speak Common and Gnomish. So I go in there. I'm like, the black spider leads you. And they're like, what? Looking at him like, the black spider's here. Like, what?
Yeah, that was awesome.
And keep in mind, Ovalt's never seen the black spider. Doesn't even know who the black spider is. So kind of had to make some guesses. And it's like, come quick, and rolled a persuasion roll, and I think did decently, not great, but
Well, I think you
convinced
only got
most of them.
Droop, right?
No, he got Droop and
At least one of the bugbears.
he
Oh,
sent I
Droop
think
and one
two
bugbear, I
of
think.
two of them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's another
Because-
one.
Oh, 2 in the
Uh,
hall. Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. That's right.
Well, he sent because there was the ringleader, Mosk, I think was his name.
Yep.
And he was suspicious, but he was he sent a couple guys because they didn't outright pass any kind of wisdom check, but they didn't roll horribly, so it felt I was just like, okay, well, he'll send a couple people to check it out because obviously there's this goblin he's never seen before. So yeah, they basically Droop and 2 bugbears went to check it out and just walked right into this trap. And I don't even remember. All I remember is a flurry of hit points
Yeah.
flying off of these poor bugbears.
Well, I brought them in, and I created a minor illusion.
That's right. This
of
was so
a
awesome.
cloaked. I was guessing female. I still don't even know who the black spider is, but I was guessing kind of female.
If I remember,
looking
you just said like a
thing.
cloaked figure.
Yeah, with a spider on its cloak. You know,
Yeah,
a big black
that's right.
spider.
Mhm.
And then because I'm an illusionist, I can make it make sound as well. So I gave it this kind of cryptic voice, telling the bugbear, "Bow before me," and he's like, "Oh." So he comes in and he bows, like just putting his head right down.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
This was so brutal because I was having them make. I can't even remember which check. I think it was intelligence or wisdom, but they were at a pretty big disadvantage just because
Bugbears.
Well, on top of that, it's just the situation you guys had set up was so perfect. Where I was like, it's one of those situations as a DM. I'm like, man, I want this to be a harder fight, but it's one of those situations where I'm like, fuck. I mean, they're like, I can't argue with them getting a huge advantage with what they're doing.
You even pointed out, you're like, "Oh, he sees the dead bodies on the ground." I said the illusion pulls out a bloody dagger and cleans it off.
Yeah.
Like the black spider just killed them.
It was just, I was like, yeah, all right. Like,
And then was it Mortander or was
So
it Brandon?
when
Well,
he was
yeah.
bowing right at the end of this hallway, it's kind of like you picture the two guys on each side of the door against the wall, like just
you
out of
guys had-
sight.
I think you guys
we synergized, ran in, held him by the hair, and Mortander decapitated him.
Yeah, just chopped his head. right
Yeah,
off.
that was pretty brutal. And thus the fight began. And I actually bumped it up from 3 bugbears to 4 just because, you guys were a little higher level, I think, than you're intended to be at that point. And there's the party we've got is a little bigger than the
Well,
recommended.
plus the
for
first
this.
one didn't really get to go.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
that was beyond. That was
It was just
besides the point.
flavor.
But
Like
and
Text.
as soon as the fighting started, Droop passed out
In the hallway.
in the hallway. Yeah,
With like bugbears stomping on him and stuff.
yeah, poor little guy. And then so the remaining 3 bugbears, well, 2 of them charged down the hallway. The last one was Mosk, and he knows his way around the dungeon, so he actually flanked around through the crevasse to get to you guys and come out from behind. Traynor saw him do that and managed to roll an intelligence check good enough and just
Yeah, I
figure
rolled
it
a
out
nat
himself.
20 for that.
Did you?
Yes.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so he was like, oh shit, he's flanking us. So he went out over, and this is actually one of my favorite parts of this entire scenario was, and we also kind of screwed up on the rule for one of the
Yeah.
spells, but honestly, I'm not upset at all just because it fit pretty well. But so he went over and used his hunter's trap and placed it over at the, I think it was at the top of the stairs.
Yeah, there's like a little
In the
bed,
crevasse.
and then there's one little set.
Yeah, so if you're looking at the map, he basically ran from room 9 over to where the 8 is on the map through the crevasse and around down the stairs towards room 10. And at the top of those stairs is where he put a hunter's trap, and he completely failed his check to avoid the trap. And the rules for traps are actually really brutal. I would recommend players get those.
Yeah, yeah, I was
Just
like,
because
that's
it's like an action to set up, and if they fail their check, they have to make a successful strength check to untrap themselves, and if they fail, they take a point of damage.
Yep.
I mean, even just
Yeah.
from
And they can only move like 1 square or something like that.
no,
from
they
there, or-
can't. They can't move farther than the chain. So if you
Yeah.
set the chain on
But
it
it's
to
like
like
3
a foot,
feet,
yeah, then they're not going anywhere. And even if it, I mean, just give each person in the party one of those, and I mean, God, that could be devastating. Anyways, so he was stuck there, and so Traynor's sitting there at the bottom of the stairwell, just pelting him with arrows. And Ovalt's over there using vicious mockery on him, and we were doing this a little incorrectly.
I'll take my responsibility on that. That was an accident.
But yeah, I mean, so we were giving him disadvantage on the strength checks to escape. I mean, it was a brutal combo, obviously, giving him disadvantage on his strength check. And being a bugbear, he should have made it even with disadvantage. He just never did before he got killed.
There's so
On
many
top of
arrows.
it, it was just a hilarious scene as he's like trying to, pull these jaws open on the trap and just getting wrecked by Traynor. But So yeah, that was actually one of the cooler.
Oh, you wore an eye patch, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what's funny is, I mean, he
Mine
was.
now.
It took a few rounds. Like
Yeah.
I was expecting him to go down pretty quick, but no, it was like I would say like maybe 4 rounds of getting shot at.
And didn't Lyra shoot one of the bugbears in the eye and say, "Should have worn an eye patch"?
Yeah, yeah, that was
another
pretty
one.
amazing. That was pretty. Oh wait, no, that was later actually.
Oh,
It's when
was
they
it
were
later?
fighting Red
Yep.
Brands.
Oh, my bad.
Because
My
yeah,
bad.
it was after
Sorry,
you
spoiler.
guys. It's cool, but it was after you guys had found the eye patch off this dude. So, anyways, so you cleared out the bugbears, and with that, they had pretty much cleared Tresendar Manor. So, we moved on, and
Well, those bugbears in the hallway put up a good fight. Like,
yeah, they
everyone
did.
was-
They actually, and that was one of the times where I got to use some of the advanced actions. So, from the DMG, so one of them did an overrun on Mortander and busted into the room. So that fight actually got a little hairy. I think that was the first time Rannon's actually been displeased about getting hit in combat because he got hit
Yeah.
by one of those
Yeah,
bugbears.
Oh, that's right. It's while I was in the hall, because I
Yeah.
had made my way forward. One of the bugbears had one of those giant 2-hand mace things or whatever.
I was one-handed.
Oh, was it? Well, yeah, they're big.
In Morning Star.
Oh, and then after
Or maybe it is
Trainer,
Sarah.
you cut off Moss's head, right? And then I used Mage Hand, picked up his head, and just started beating one of the guys with it. It
God,
didn't
I
do
forgot
damage. It
about
was just
that.
like a distraction, just to get in his face. Like,
Oh
this
my
is
God.
bugbear head.
Yeah, it was a flying
having
bugbear
fun.
head. That was weird, but
But that it got a little weird.
yeah, it did. So-
Well, there was one more thing that was important
Yeah, what?
in that part after all the bugbears were dealt with.
Oh, Droop.
Droop woke up.
Oh no, he didn't.
No,
he
he
never
did
woke
woke
up.
up.
He never.
Oh.
He will never wake up thanks to you.
I thought he like started to wake
No,
up.
it was like one of those things where you were like taking stock of the situation. I was like, oh yeah, and don't forget, there's that goblin passed out on the ground, and
I do remember this specific quote was, "Okay, you guys are done. Everyone's dead." And I said, "Not everyone,"
oh,
and went
God.
and just
Yeah.
kind of made that thrusting sword sound and
So
movement.
gross. Just
Yeah.
chaotic evil right there.
Too bad Droop was
Oh,
like
Droop.
the key to
Actually,
everything.
this is for a whole nother discussion, but I don't think he's chaotic evil.
Who Droop? No, he's not.
No, not Droop. Not Rannon. I don't think he's chaotic.
No, he's not chaotic evil. He's just racist.
You had to play the
Freaking
goblin card.
goblins.
I did pulling that shit. All right. So, anyways,
Terrible.
the group made their way out of the manor, and unbeknownst to them, so what I had tweaked with the story off of the basic module was that I wanted to get that wizard fight in. So what had been happening behind the scenes, and one of the things they had done in the previous game was they had rescued the woodcutter's family from the jail cell, room number 5, and escorted them back to their home, and then gone back to continue raiding and stuff. And I think you guys even did a long rest in the barracks after you finished clearing it,
Yeah, yeah.
which I was so happy about. So basically what happened during that time was word got to Grista, who is, not only Grista, not only Iarno's lover, but also one of his Red Brand lieutenants, and that's why they hang out at the Sleeping Giant. So she finds out that they've been returned to their home, and fears the worst when it comes to Iarno. So she recaptures them, knowing that it was you guys. Also captures Elsa, she's just had enough and decided these guys coming and trying to establish law in this town have got to go. So she grabs Sildar, she grabs Elsa and the woodcutter's family,
Bastards.
and the Red Brands basically start going on full like scorched earth, making a show of power. They set up barricades on the streets for you guys when you're coming back to ambush you, and set up a big platform with a pyre, and they're gonna show their kind of influence by burning Sildar at the stake to show everyone in the town what happens when you resist them. So when they got back to the town, it was early morning and it was slightly drizzling. And I guess I'll just read the flavor text that I wrote, since that's what the players got. Through the pattering sound of steady, cold rain all around, you hear distant voices carried on the wind. As you listen closer, it becomes apparent that some of the voices are shouts and some are frightful screams. As they got closer, let's see. As you head up the street, the eerie silence of the town is unmistakable. The streets are abandoned, and what few faces you see in windows disappear behind slammed shutters as soon as their terrified eyes catch sight of you. Rounding the bend, you see the road up ahead blocked off by makeshift barricades constructed of hastily thrown together objects. Carts, crates, market stalls, and barrels are piled up behind a line of red brand thugs staring balefully at you, faces wearing masks of grim determination. Flaming piles of broken planks and debris are scattered throughout the street, hissing as raindrops are consumed by them. Behind the barricades, you can just barely see a crudely constructed platform with several figures standing on it, one lashed to what appears to be a wooden stake atop a pyre of logs. So that set the scene, which was supposed to be somewhat reminiscent of the alley scene from Big Trouble in Little China. A huge melee ensued in which, as soon as the battle started, Grista, I'm pretty sure, had set the pyre alight, because for me, I have some things planned for Phandalin, and listeners will kind of see this as the campaign progresses, but I kind of want, not to be a dick, but I kind of wanted Sildar out of there, so I did railroad it a little bit, but I did give the players an opportunity to save him. It was just going to be very hard.
Yeah.
So you ended up fighting about 14 red brands total. However, I did kind of make them more like Savage World mooks, where some of them went down in one hit and stuff like that. I was playing it for only a few of them took hits and actually kept going, but that was when you guys would roll like 1 or 2 for damage. But pretty much anything over a single hit of like 5 to 7 would kill him, which, pro tip for if you want to have a cool epic battle, that's how you do it. Just throw in mooks that go down after 1 hit. Makes the players feel awesome because they're just cleaving through, minions. And it's perfectly fitting for, a cinematic action style where you're going for these big swirling fights, because then you're not going through your spreadsheet tracking, okay, Red Brand 8 just took 3 points damage, he's almost done. And, that's no fun for anyone.
Do you have some highlights of that battle, or because I remember a few things?
Yeah, you guys, it pretty much, what's funny is they made such use of, and this is something that keeps happening to me in our games, where I'll throw in something for cool, like atmospheric stuff, like they've lit these fires in the street, and of course, leave it to my players, they just start grabbing red brands and like tossing them onto the fire. I'm like, yeah, they take fire damage. And at first, I think the first time it happened where I don't even remember, I think I might have just cinematically said like he falls into the fire when he dies, and then unfortunately,
looked at each other like,
that gave them the horrible idea. So basically every time a red brand got hit, it was like, I know a few of you took shove actions to throw them in fire.
Randon learned like whole new things about himself.
Yeah,
that game.
they opened a whole new world of combat.
Drew as a person.
When we leveled after that game, like I actually started looking into actually taking like grapple as a new feat, and like
there's a feat for that.
I almost took it. I almost wanted to become this guy known for throwing people in fire.
As a barbarian, just use your advantage on strength checks.
You only get it twice a day, though.
Isn't it while you're berserking though?
I think it's the whole time you're.
No, I think
reread that shit.
I'll have to double check, but like on the app, it says 2 times a day.
No, fuck the app. Read the book. Like seriously.
I don't have time.
Dude, it's like 3 pages of barbarian. You can do it.
I should, I should devote the time at least to read about my character.
It might be
probably a good call.
Pro tip.
Possibly.
So, yeah, so that melee went pretty much how you would expect, where the melee fighters started cleaving through red brands up front, while there was some arrows exchanged. Traynor and Lyra were taking cover and firing and picking people off. 2 archers actually appeared on rooftops and started firing down at you guys, and that became kind of an issue for a little bit. And
I want to visually lay out too, like the map was long, and like
it was basically
the obvious target was far away. Like
it was basically a really long street that they couldn't go through the buildings on the sides, and they just had to fight their way through it. And I can't remember, Ovalt cast some spell to get one of the guys off.
I cast like everything I had. So the guy up on the roof, I cast a phantasmal force, and I
Okay,
made
that's what it was.
an image of 3 Viking warriors popping up over the edge of the roof, attacking him to try to force. I was trying to force him off the roof into a fire, you know.
Yeah.
To
Oh, that's
sneak
right.
the
That
flame.
battle became everyone going into fire. That's
Which
right.
actually worked because, and what helped that is the fact that I forgot to mention this, but as they were fighting the Red Brands, townspeople started to jump in and help. So the blacksmith and the woman that runs Lion Shield Coster, I think Lenine,
Yeah, yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
she jumped in. So it was also kind of to show the players like the townspeople are also pitching in, and they've almost like an acceptance thing. So, and I just wanted to make it seem, because that's a little bit more of a believable situation. You're going to have some people in the town that are like, fuck these Red Brands, I'm going to go stab some of them. So that's kind of where that came from, and it also helped sell the Phantasmal Force thing, because he's seeing all sorts of people coming out of the woodwork. So, and he actually, I think
I think
jump
Trainor
off?
tagged him with an arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
knocked him off the
but
roof.
he did take
Into the
damage
fire.
from it, and then
Yeah, because that's what you
naturally,
do. That's what
you know,
Trainor does.
that was the Wilhelm scream moment.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember
We
what
don't
happened
have
to
that
the archer
scream.
on the
Add that
other
scream.
side.
I think Lyra tagged him.
Yeah.
Lyra was up on the roof, just like raining death from above. And then I remember Nada had a couple cool moments. I remember her walking through
Glass
some fire.
staff. She used the glass staff.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
she
she's
was.
using glass staff.
Yeah, so
Where did she get?
yeah, I believe she got it off of Glassstaff himself.
Yeah, perhaps that was from glass staff.
Good old Yarno Albrecht. So,
I
she
did my
was using, and that thing is so cool. I mean, I was surprised to see a staff like that in, a beginning module like this, because that's something like a caster who's kind of squishy. That's like a perfect.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
almost. I don't want to say too powerful, because it's cool when you get something powerful, but it's like, I mean, that's a game changer. You don't have to memorize any of those defensive spells anymore.
It has vulnerabilities though, right? Like, can it break? Like, if you don't use it properly. I remember there's something about.
I mean, if you drain all of the charges, it's got a chance to, I think.
I thought it said it had something where it had risk of shattering if you.
It should be Pyrex
That's
at least.
I don't. That's here or there.
Pyrex.
I can
glass
look
staff.
it up, but I don't know.
Well, so while you're looking that up, I do remember.
Yeah, there were a few other specific moments that were really awesome. Like, once the battle progressed beyond the initial barricade was when things started getting really interesting, because they had to kind of mow their way through this first group of about 8 Red Brands plus the 2 that ambushed. Then there was the platform on which Sildar was starting to burn up.
Yeah.
And I was actually rolling damage, so I had his total hit points, and I was rolling fire damage every turn. So it wasn't like I was just arbitrarily being like, he's dead.
Yeah.
But that said, depending on how I rolled, it was really affecting how long he lasted. Staff of Defense.
And that's about when Ovalt saw the next person in line for the pillar. Is that about right?
Yeah, so, because before that, you could only see kind of shapes and stuff. And once you got closer, they were able to see that Elsa, who's the barmaid that Ovalt's become romantically entangled with, is the next person up on the pyre, and and Grisla's over there, kind of like Mama from the Goonies. You're
The little
next,
switchblade.
and
Oh. Oh god. Cutting out her tongue or something.
Dwarven beauty.
so yes, and that was a really cool moment, just because it was. I think Brett was worried that's what it was, but
Yeah.
he,
I was
he
like,
didn't
I'm pretty
know.
sure James is going to do this to me.
Well, of course I'm going to. I mean, come on, what's a villain going to do?
Yeah.
Is they know your weak points, because you guys are big in town. So that was a really fun moment, because that really gave the players a lot of urgency. They're like, oh shit, because not to be a dick again, Sildar's cool and everything,
But
but
he's already on fire.
yeah, I mean, he's
What
just
you
a
do.
guy, and he's just like this dude who's. I mean, honestly, I can only imagine the players at a certain level see him as almost like an adversary, because he's this other adventurer type guy. Yeah, once they saw Elsa, it was kind of like game on. We got to do this fast.
And everyone saw a much more serious side of Ovalt. I tried to play that up. Like,
Yeah.
Ovalt's normally a very goofy, like, silly guy, but it's like, oh no. And I remember it was intense. That whole half of that game, we were almost silent.
Oh, also the staff of defense. it's if she runs it out of charges, she has to roll a d20, and on a 1, it's shattered. So as long
That's
as you
not that
don't,
bad, yeah.
if you don't use up all your charges, the
That's
charges return.
That's like a 1 in 20 chance.
I wouldn't even do that. You don't even
How
have to
else
take
do
the
you-
risk. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
We're gooder at math.
So like
also
I was
call it
saying,
like
this really
5%.
long map, right? It was so far away, and the barricade was really good. We were actually all having a hard time getting through the barricade.
Yeah,
So
they kept failing,
I
like,
remember
climbing
what
checks
what
and shit.
Opal did because he couldn't
No, I
get
didn't.
there. So
Not you.
So I ran
No.
forward, and then I made my ferret. I have a little familiar, Mr. Whiskers. I had him jump off my shoulder and run past everyone. In the whirling combat, it just looks like a rat running through
Yeah,
the
they didn't.
streets. They were paying no attention. And I tried to get my ferret over to him so that it could cast Cure Wounds on Sildar, but by the time it got there, Sildar was dead. So I had it
Yeah, he
start
stopped
untying
moving.
people's binds, like biting through their ropes.
Yeah.
So sent him forward.
And also, at some point during that portion of it, I believe Trainor or maybe Lyra fired an arrow. Actually, no. Once Ovalt started getting close, or someone got close enough to try and attack her, so she actually misty stepped to the roof of a nearby building.
Oh, no,
Well,
no,
that
no.
was in a little bit.
That's a little bit after. Rannon was trying to make his way up to join the ferret and Opal. Like I think we were the closest ones.
Yeah.
To like to that
And
area.
Mortander, I think, was up front. I remember I was behind
he
two big
he
fighters.
was Mortander was close too, but on Rannon's way over, he pulled up his crossbow.
Oh, that's
And
right.
for fun, because we're having fun and drinking and all that stuff. I told you I shot at the guard closest to
Mr. Whiskers.
Mr. Whiskers, Brett's familiar, because if I failed, I thought it'd be funny.
Oh, that's not funny at all. I didn't even know that happened.
He was drunk.
That's 10 gold pieces. But yeah,
That's how much familiars
I
cost?
hit him with an arrow though.
So Sildar was dead, right? So now it's just
Sildar-
a crispy corpse on
Yes.
the thing.
Mhm.
And so what I did is I was I
Oh
wanted to keep Krista where
God,
she
I
was.
forgot about
Yeah,
this.
this was
How could I forget about this? It was so brutal. Like
so,
and Grista's also just distraught and enraged at she sees Iarno's staff in Nada's hands, so she knows he's dead.
yeah.
And so she's just enraged and filled with grief. And then this happens.
So then I cast a minor illusion on Sildar's body to make it look like an illusion wore off. So, and that it was actually Iarno tied to the stake, still alive.
So fucked
And
up.
he turns to her and he
fucked up.
says, "Krista, you fell for their trap. You tied me to the stake. It was an illusion this whole time. Get me out of here." And she's like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I can't remember.
It's like, "Oh my god."
That's right.
I can't
thank
remember
you.
what what her reaction was, but
She
I
was
think
trying to.
she was
untie
taken
him.
in by it for a good couple turns, I think.
That's when
And, yeah, that
Rhiannon
was-
got
that
close
was
enough
so
to
terrible.
her, and then she
God,
misty
poor-
stepped away.
Yeah.
I've never felt so bad for an NPC besides Iarno than I did for her.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that is the most fucked
didn't.
up thing I think anyone's done with illusions
Like,
ever.
Nah, she deserved what she got.
That's probably true.
Yeah, and then I remember Randy got up there, and I misty stepped up there.
I was one turn away from that grapple.
and I told Elsa, I said,
Yeah.
"Stand behind me." But
was,
of
like,
course she's
reading
like
grapple
3 feet
rules.
taller than I am.
Yeah, no, you were intent like, what's these grapple rules? I'm gonna throw her in the fire the whole time.
I was ready.
And that's when she misty stepped onto the
I was so mad
Onto the
about
roof.
roof.
And I witch bolted her for. I rolled a 12. I rolled 12 damage on that. That was.
Yeah, so
Oh.
but she misty stepped up onto the roof, and
Yeah.
at one point someone fired an arrow, and that's when she
Yeah,
showcased
you were
her
Lyra.
awesome ring.
And no, I think that was actually Lyra.
Yeah,
More-
oh, that's
and,
right.
Mortander was climbing up the side of the
Yeah,
building to
to
get
get
up
there.
to her too.
Yeah,
He was just on the chase for her the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, she could misty step again, but which was actually going to be pretty funny. But so yeah, she got shot at with an arrow, and she because Iarno had a magic item, and I also wanted, since we have a bigger party, I wanted to give out another magic item for another character. So I gave her a really, really toned down version of Gloves of Missile Snaring, which is a ring of deafness, I think.
That's what you
And
call
it's
it.
so basically once she got shot at, she snatched the arrow out of the ring or out of the air, and her ring was glowing, and she had, it was a pretty cool villain moment. She was like, "Yeah, nice try."
Yeah, until I shot her.
And then a second later she got arrowed, so didn't really last too long.
Through her left hand. Oh, damn it. Only have one glove.
So she died, and then you guys rescued everybody, and that's pretty much where it left off. I can't remember if anything happened after that.
We got a deed of some sort.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So and this is something I was thinking about how to do for a while, and that's actually one of the biggest reasons I chose Grista as the kind of villainous, because a lot of these pieces just kind of fell together pretty well. But in our first game, we had joked about the party getting a tavern and running it, and how that would be kind of cool, because our groups typically don't have like home bases, and it's not from a bad place. It's just because we don't want the temptation of making it too easy on ourselves, or kind of having this Monty Hall kind of a thing where you just get everything you want. Because a home base can get out of control pretty quickly. You start tricking it out, and before you know, you've got this like keep with guard animals and crazy monsters.
When I'm level 17, we're covered.
So anyways, but I thought it would be pretty cool because they had the idea of making it like this bar for adventurers, especially because Phandalin's this like frontier town. So I thought that'd be pretty cool. So I added her as the main bad guy. And having killed her, the players went and ransacked the place, and they find the deed, and it's so they've got the deed to the sleeping giant, which they've renamed to the barfing bugbear.
Like instantly.
Yeah.
Like we didn't even walk in. We tore down the sign. We had another sign ready to just pop up there.
So that was a pretty cool moment, and I think after that, you guys just kind of passed out upstairs in the office of the barfing bugbear, and that was where we called it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
So, that was pretty much how the adventure went, and I'm sure there's a couple things we're missing. Didn't we have kind of like a list of little things?
I was reviewing it as we were doing it, and everything that was on that list was brought up. So.
I remember one thing is Mortander was having dreadful rolls
Yeah,
for the
Mortander's
majority of it.
Yeah, he did specifically note on there. He was like, "There's a lot of 5s and 6s going
Yeah.
on."
He was learning though. Remember, he was taking.
He was
notes.
learning. Yeah,
That was actually one of the funnier moments because Mortander's like this studious guy, and he was just rolling all 5s and 6s and missing, and then the bugbear hit Rannon, and he was like, the next time he actually rolled really well and hit, so it was like he copied the bugbear's form.
Right.
He's like,
that's
I'm
right,
learning
that's
from
right.
these guys. So that was pretty funny.
Another small moment that we missed, I was thinking about, was when Nada used her acid breath in the hallway.
Oh God,
just
how could we
covered-
forget
yeah.
about that?
Yeah, as
So that's back in
With the
the Red
bugbears.
Brand. What is the name
Yeah,
of
it
that
was
place?
So,
The
sorry,
hideout?
Tresendar
Tresendar Manor.
that,
So
but-
yeah, it was between the cellar and the barracks where the two bugbears and poor Droop were going down that hallway, and it was just the perfect situation for Black Dragon Breath, where she's just like, "Bleh," just barfed down it, and
I think she got like 3 people or something.
there were only 3 of them to get.
They
and
were
she got
all like, all their faces were melting.
yeah. So
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
And someone got shot in the ear. I remember. I think was it Lyra Traynor shot someone in the ear with their
yeah, I
arrow.
remember.
And then I mentioned it earlier, but we kind of glossed over. There was a moment also with Nada where we were in the streets, and forgive me, I don't remember the exact spell that she cast, but she just cast a spell, and I remember she like walked through one of the fires, just looked like
Yeah, it
this
was super
demon.
badass.
She looked like a Balrog, just like with Yarno's staff, and Grista was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, that
like,
was
freaking
super
out.
cool. I can't remember the specifics
Very
of it, but I remember
cinematic moment.
Yeah, it was a very cool moment for her character. So it's too bad we couldn't remember the details.
Goddamn Firebolt, man, all the time. She
Oh,
is
well,
lighting
yeah.
people up with that thing.
She was like Tim the Enchanter, like
Yeah, Firebolt.
Yeah,
That thing's
all
great,
over the
though.
place. Well, yeah,
and it's a cantrip, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like, here, have this.
that's why she does it so much.
Yeah, I mean.
Well,
I'm
get
not
ready for
criticizing.
Sicaria.
Oh god. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you're going down this like long road of like fucking 15 dudes, I was like, yeah, not a go.
yeah, exactly. It's like you get a firebolt, you get a firebolt. So, yeah, it's actually going to be pretty interesting because we're trading our rogue DPS for another caster. So it's about to get pretty magic heavy, especially and also.
Well, Ovalt's not going to be there.
Yeah. So, but I mean, my character is also a caster.
Oh yeah, I suppose so.
Oh yeah.
But you also have fighter.
Yeah. So.
Well, I think we've wrapped it up as best we can. I'm sure we missed some moments, which sucks, but I know that all of all the players in our group know that it's not personal or anything. So
Yeah, and if you have just listeners have questions about how we did certain things or why, just feel free to ask, because that's one of the cool things about, I mean, all of the modules, but this one especially, because it seems like almost everyone's played it. So I've had some fun conversations on Reddit with people where, you know, people are sharing the different ways they went through it, because I'm sure we didn't go through it the way a lot of other people did. And,
oh sure,
it's like
Yeah, we did it the perfect way.
yeah,
Well, like,
every
think-
secret entrance. Yeah,
yeah, that was pretty awesome. But yeah, like just the things with like the Nothic, I was reading about this other guy, how he did it, and it was pretty funny. So if you have questions about how we did it, feel free.
So this has been the Sea of Mist, the Lost episode, which is number 2, the recap. We're actually almost done editing Sea of Mist 3. Make sure you guys check out Per Diem every Friday, and reach out to us on Twitter at Orc-Chop Express. Check out the website, the orcchopexpress.com, and make sure you guys find our YouTube channel on the website there and subscribe to that.